Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a completely fascinating, essentially invisible world of technology that quietly powers almost every aspect of your modern life. It's kind of wild to think about, but once you understand this hidden layer of engineering, you will never look at the devices you use every single day the same way again. Okay, let's kick things off with a simple question to get you thinking about the tech that's literally completely surrounding you right now. How many computers are in your car? I mean, you probably instantly think of that big, flashy touchscreen in the center console, right? But the reality is actually mind-boggling. Modern vehicles contain dozens and sometimes hundreds of hidden computers that are constantly monitoring everything from your exact tire pressure to your engine's fuel mix in real time.
And it's not just cars. Think about your morning routine. These everyday items are packed with dedicated computers. And no, they aren't designed to browse the web or run a word processor. They are built to perform incredibly specific tasks. Take that electric toothbrush sitting on your bathroom sink. It very likely has more raw computing power than the massive machines that literally sent astronauts to the moon. Your microwave, your washing machine, your thermostat, they all rely on brilliant, unseen engineering just to function.
So here is our game plan for today. First, we'll dive into the hidden computer world. Second, we'll define exactly what embedded systems are. Third, we'll compare general versus dedicated computers. Fourth, we'll dissect their hardware and software anatomy. And finally, we'll look at why the future is embedded. Section 1. The hidden computer world. What exactly is embedded engineering? All right, so the crucial takeaway here is that embedded engineering is the discipline of creating highly specific systems that actually interact with the physical world. An embedded system isn't some standalone box sitting on your desk. It's a precise combination of hardware and software physically integrated into a much larger product. Its entire existence is completely dedicated to performing one specific function and doing it perfectly every time. Moving on to Section 2, general versus dedicated computers. Why specialization matters. It really all boils down to focus. On one side of the ring, you've got your general purpose computer. It's a jack of all trades that lets you browse the web, write reports, and play games all at once. But an embedded system, like the tiny controller hidden inside your microwave, does exactly one thing. And because it strips away all those unnecessary capabilities, it can be significantly smaller, way cheaper to manufacture, and vastly more energy efficient. To fully grasp how these are built, we have to look at the extreme constraints they live under. First off, they have a highly dedicated function. Second, they often require real-time operation. We're talking zero lag allowed. Third, they face intense resource constraints, meaning incredibly limited memory and processing power. Because of all this, they've got to have bulletproof reliability. Some of these things run continuously for decades without a single reboot, all while sipping tiny amounts of power to save battery life. Section 3. Hardware and software anatomy. Dissecting the invisible machine. Picture a washing machine for a second. You just throw your clothes in and press start. But inside, an embedded computer is constantly cycling through exact logical steps to make the whole thing work. It reads real-time sensor information, like the water level. It precisely controls the motors to spin the drum and manages the exact timing of the cycles. And of course, it instantly responds the second you press a button on the front panel. To actually pull that off and interact with the physical world, embedded engineers essentially builds a digital nervous system. They start with a processor, usually a tiny microcontroller, as the brain. Then they add sensors to feel things like temperature, pressure, motion, or light. To actually take action, they use actuators, so things like motors, valves, or relays. Finally, they tie the whole shebang together with communication interfaces. That could be basic internal wiring, like UART or SPI to help chips chat with each other, or complex networks like a CAN bus in a car, or even your standard Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. But hardware on its own is basically just an expensive paperweight. It needs highly optimized software running under those incredibly strict memory limits we talked about. So engineers write device drivers to actually talk to the hardware, control algorithms to make the smart decisions, and communication protocols to share data. A lot of the time, this entire ecosystem is managed by a real-time operating system that acts like a traffic cop, strictly controlling exactly how and when tasks are executed. Now, this absolute necessity of real-time operation changes the game completely. On your laptop, if a program takes an extra split second to load, whatever, you just wait. But think about a car's airbag deploying. This is literal life or death. If that embedded system doesn't respond within a perfectly predictable, immediate fraction of a second when a crash happens, the results are catastrophic. There's absolutely zero room for error. Because the stakes are that high and the resources are that tight,
embedded engineering becomes this massive melting pot of disciplines. You can't just be a good coder. You need a rock-solid grasp of electronics, low-level programming, computer architecture, communication systems, and physical control systems. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate cross-disciplinary science.
So how do we actually program these things? Well, good old C is still the absolute bedrock. Why? Because it gives you unparalleled efficiency and direct, raw control over the hardware. Sure, languages like C++, Python, and increasingly Rust are super relevant today, but C allows an engineer to manipulate literal physical memory addresses and squeeze every last drop of processing power out of a tiny, constrained microchip.
Section 4. The future is embedded, expanding into every industry.
It is honestly mind-blowing when you step back and look at how vast the applications truly are. Embedded systems are keeping factory workers safe right now through industrial automation. They are quite literally saving lives inside medical devices like insulin pumps and heart monitors. They're managing your home's climate, bringing your gaming consoles to life, and, like we mentioned at the start, a single modern vehicle relies on hundreds of these processors to keep the engine, brakes, and battery running smoothly. If you're already in this world, whether you're just learning the ropes or building commercial products, these are the heavy hitters you'll encounter in the wild. Platforms like Arduino and Raspberry Pi have totally revolutionized how accessible this stuff is for beginners and prototypers. Meanwhile, massive industrial giants like STM32, ESP32, NXP, and Texas Instruments are powering the hardcore commercial systems deployed all over the globe. Every single day for an embedded engineer is this massive balancing act. You're constantly using your programming and electronic skills to fight against extremely limited memory. You leverage hardware-software integration to battle rigid power limits. And you rely on deep debugging and OS knowledge to guarantee those ultra-critical real-time requirements we discussed. And this is exactly why the field is absolutely exploding right now. Our world is demanding smarter, connected devices and AI right at the edge, meaning the need for engineers who understand both hardware and software is skyrocketing. The boom of the Internet of Things, the massive shift to electric vehicles, the rise of advanced robotics, it all guarantees that the demand for these unseen systems is going in one direction, straight up. Which brings us to a massive question to end on today, as absolutely everything around us gets connected via the Internet of Things. And as we continue to build out entire smart cities, what will embedded engineers make smart next? I'm going to leave you with that thought to ponder. Because understanding embedded engineering is just your very first step into a totally fascinating, invisible world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep looking closely at the devices around you, and I will catch you in the next one.